Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Primal Foundations podcast. We have Ray Hicks, our guest today, also known as Carnivore Ray. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. I love your social media, your Instagram. You're always doing clips of like the benefits of carnivore, your health journey, cooking clips, how to shop. It's a great page. It's awesome.
Man, thank you. I have no idea what I'm doing. I really
Uh,
don't.
and anybody that wants to check out Ray's page, it's Carnivore Ray underscore. Was there another Carnivore Ray?
There was, yeah. And it,
He
yeah,
got he got to it.
he did. I thought about reaching out and then I asked myself, what are you doing? You've never cared about social media. Don't do that.
Yeah,
No.
there's like I think there's somebody did that to like Joe Rogan too. Like somebody had Joe Rogan and he's like, "Hey, I'll pay, buy it from you." The guy's like, "Oh, 100 grand." And Joe's like, "No."
Bro, I'm not dishing out 100 grand for a car, let alone an Instagram handle. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but your page is killing it. I feel like I always get updates on different things that you're doing, and it's a great page. And one of the things I want to talk about and highlight today is, your personal health journey and why you got into carnivore. So, like, it's a very captivating story. And if you could tell the listeners, like, what was going on in your life that led you to adopt a carnivore diet?
Yeah, great question. So I'm coming up on 1 year of being carnivore, 11 months. Okay. August 1st will be 1 year. And when I first heard about carnivore, I'm thinking, this is nuts. That's not healthy. These people are freaking psychos. But I see this clip of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson talking about it. And you got Joe who, talks my language. Yeah, I felt really fantastic, and felt like I was taking a limitless pill, and I was cutting weight super quickly, and I just felt so sharp. And so I'm thinking, okay, that's nice. Then you got Jordan Peterson, who I've got to slow down to comprehend what he's saying. Uh, he's sharing that him and his daughter have done this for years, and Jordan Peterson's somebody that I hold up high regard. It's a man that I look at and goes, okay, he wouldn't talk about something super controversial flippantly. And so he's clearly done his research. He's done this for years himself. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And so, kind of the why behind why I even started, I had brain fog for a good 2 months prior to starting. And I always thought brain fog was BS, like just focus, dude. Stop trying to label it as something. You don't have brain fog. You just need to focus, and that's it. And sure enough, food plays a massive role in our cognitive ability. And so that, and I absolutely had some weight to lose. So if I lost weight while doing this, wonderful. I was 295 pounds. Could definitely afford to drop some weight as a 6 foot tall man. And so that's exactly what I did. I start August 1st, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to cheat. Ideally, I'll do this for a month, but I bet I'll have a cheat meal within the first couple of days, which would likely be ice cream. Well, days 1 and 2, those come and go. I feel normal. I don't feel great. I don't feel bad. I just feel like I was feeling. The third day, I woke up. I just felt phenomenal. It truly sounds like snake oil. I'll go back and look at my videos and like, this sounds fake, but I'm being completely genuine talking about it. I've had knee pain for over a decade, 12 years, due to a surgery. I had 60% of my meniscus removed. And ever since that surgery, I just had this stabbing knee pain. And it's not like I'd have knee pain sitting down, but it was just everyday movement. So standing up, sitting down, walking upstairs. You wouldn't catch me doing a lunge. Any type of workout that I would do would really be tailored on, hey, how bad does my knee pain hurt today? And I wake up and I have zero knee pain. It's the first time that I'm able to do this, just extend my leg without any type of sharpness.
How
And
many how many days how many days did it take before you started realizing the knee pain was going away?
it was the third day.
Oh, that
It,
was the third day.
that was
Wow.
the third day. And it was so evident to me because it's something that I've, lived with for 12 years. And so being able to just crawl out of bed and That's weird. There's no sharpness. And I sat back down and literally just extended my leg. Zero pain. And I was just blown away. If that wasn't enough, the mental clarity, it really is mind boggling how a ketogenic or a carnivore diet, or really just including more meat and animal fats in your diet, how that plays a role in your brain. And I felt sharper than attack. I still feel sharper than attack. I say this often, but what I used to get done in a day for work, I now have done by noon, which is awesome. If you work any career that you're in, if you can do a day's worth of work within half the time, you're doing pretty freaking good. And so I was fortunate to experience that. Mental health, something that gets slept on, specifically with carnivore. I've battled depression since I was about 12 years old. Okay. Yeah, I've taken antidepressants successfully, and I've been off them. And, every time it just, you end up back in that dark place. I felt so good. I'm talking, there were no problems in life. There were, but if there was a problem, I could fix it. And if I couldn't fix it, I wasn't worried about it. It really just made life seem like, okay, I'm not 6 feet under. The world's still spinning. I can handle this. And to wake up and feel that, anybody that's ever struggled with any sort of mental health, that is a liberating place to get to. And there's been a couple other, one-off benefits I've experienced, but if I didn't lose a ounce of weight, which I lost 35 pounds in the first month, and I've lost a little over 90 pounds to date. If I
Wow.
didn't lose any weight, the joint pain and the mental health alone, that's been enough to make me go, I'm gonna do this because I feel really, really good.
That's it's such a common thing that people talk about. I had Jess Randell on the podcast, and she calls it carnivore bliss. That's the mental state, and it's we don't know how good we possibly can feel because we've just been eating like crap, the standard American diet or a low fat diet or whatever it may be, and just eating things out of a package, ultra processed. And then once you remove all that and you get into the animal fats and the protein and you're just eating very little ingredients, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I can feel this good. But that carnivore bliss and that the anti mind fog of the everyday just goes away. And I'm 100% on page with you. I had similar brain fog kind of things going into just right before the pandemic. I started eating really crappy again and lockdown, and I'm just like, oh my God, my headspace is it's not a good spot to be in. And then all of a sudden I go carnivore and it clears it all up.
Yeah,
So you're going on this diet. You're saying you lost 90 pounds. You're to date. You're 90 pounds down.
correct.
Awesome. And then your workouts. Like I'm assuming that you were working out a little bit here. Were you doing workouts in tandem with the carnivore diet?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've always loved the gym. Gym's a lot more fun when you're in shape than when you're not in shape. But I've always loved the gym, and so really any diet, if you follow it and you follow it well, chances are you're going to change your physique. That paired with strength training, it just expedites results. And so I was working out quite a bit, but not because it was this, oh, I have to do this. I just wanted to. You're full of so much energy that, sitting still is not an option. Shoot, if I didn't exhaust myself during the day, I would have trouble going to sleep at night just because I had that much energy. And so, really good motivation to just seize the day, take advantage of every single opportunity, and just do it intentionally. And so I was in the gym constantly. I still am a lot more in the beginning though.
Yeah. The any lulls that do you hit? Like you're starting this diet out, you're feeling good. Third day, no knee pain. Do you hit any like lulls or low energy from when you first started?
Oh, absolutely. It's I really didn't know anything about carnivore starting. My eyes are open now that there's a mass amount of incredible, social media influencers, whatever you want to call them, that talk about the carnivore diet. I just didn't do enough homework and never found that. And so really the only 2 cents on the carnivore diet that I had was the little snippet from Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and then Joe Rogan and Sean Baker, Dr. Sean Baker. And that was really enough for me to just trial and error. But the biggest thing is when people lack energy, number one, you got to realize you are doing an extreme diet. I'm very pro carnivore. It's an extreme diet. It's hard for a lot of people. It wasn't hard for myself just because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But you don't know how much fat's enough fat. You don't know, am I using too much salt? Most people don't consume enough fats and they end up not consuming enough salt or electrolytes. And they find themselves dehydrated or dizzy in the gym or, why am I getting dizzy when I stand up? Your body's shedding itself of a lot of excess water. And so of course you're dehydrated. How much water are you drinking? A gallon. Okay, how much salt have you? I don't use salt. That's a problem. And so just one-off things like that a lot of people just don't know. Rightfully so. Why would they? But yeah, it was really trial and error of just trying to research, why am I experiencing this? Okay, that's why. Add some salt in. I feel great. Okay, I'm working out harder. The salt's not enough. Okay, get a good electrolyte. I feel great. Uh, I can't go to the bathroom. Why is that? Oh, add some fats. Or I'm going to the bathroom. It's not solid. Okay, cut back on fats. And so it's daunting from the outside. It's like baking a cake or making a steak. It seems really intimidating, and then you do it, and then you do it again, and you do it again. You're like, oh, this is like breathing. It's easy.
Yeah, there's no, even though like I coach people, you coach people on carnivore, there's no one size fits all for everyone. It's a
Mhm.
lot of self exploration of trying things and being okay with it not working and going back to the drawing board. The same thing kind of happened to me. I started training on carnivore. I was feeling good at first, doing long distance endeavors, marathon distant runs, and felt great. And then I've started to realize that I didn't have enough electrolytes, not enough magnesium, not enough potassium. Really trying to regulate that and actually taking in more. Like I tell people, they're asking me like, how many milligrams of sodium do you take in? And I'm like, on a just regular day, like 3,000. And they're like, what? They're like, we're not supposed to have that much salt. I'm like, nah, you can. I'm
Yeah,
like, you need it. You need it.
yeah.
And but it is the trial and error. So you're adding more salt in, you're messing with the fats. What ended up being like good ratios for you? Like what's the daily meals now that you're having that keep you high energy?
It's a good question. I don't even know if this is accurate. If I had to guess, I would say 50-50, 50-50, fats and proteins. But I'm a big believer in, hey, in the beginning, just start, okay, and tweak it. Because I know a lot of people that do very well on high fat and a lot of people that do very well on high protein. And I you hit it right on the head. I don't think people should be as dogmatic as they are about carnivore. Of, hey, this works really well for me. It's got to be the lion diet. No eggs, no seafood, no. It's just got to be red meat. Well, some people do really well eating chicken and pork and fish or eggs, whatever. Some people do very well including milk. Some people don't. And so those that, hey, it's got to be this way. You can't do this. No seed. It's like, shut up. It Let them figure it out. They might thrive on it. Just because you don't doesn't mean they won't. And so if I had to guess, 50-50, but I've only ever tracked what I ate once. And it was strictly just because it's a common question that I get. Hey, how much are you eating? How many calories? I think it was close to like 4,000 calories. And I think it was 54% protein. And then, yeah, 46% fat. Um, it really just depends on the person.
And so you're just kind of more intuitive now of what you're putting on your plate. And then what's your like marker there of one's enough is enough?
Yeah. I strictly just listen to my body. If I'm feeling full, okay, I'm done. And I've gotten pretty good. I can estimate beforehand, so I'm not making a bunch of food and then eating it and saving half of it for later. Pretty much what I make, I'll eat in a sitting. Uh, Occasionally, very rarely, is that me. Okay, I'm full and I'm eating more after that, or okay, I'm not full at all and go hungry. But I'm usually pretty spot on. A lot of people aren't good at just determining, hey, I'm full. I no longer need nutrients. And so I think Dr. Ken Berry is who I heard this from first. But when you get comfortably stuffed, or when it stops becoming as palatable, if we're hungry, we take a bite of steak that tastes phenomenal. Eventually, it gets to a point of, I mean, it doesn't taste bad, but it just doesn't taste great. And that's usually a good indicator of, hey, your body has ample nutrients. You don't need to eat anymore.
I think Ken Berry, that's good company right there. He's awesome. The when people are eating, right? If I'm eating this and you also mentioned it like palatable food, like this ultra palatable processed food is different. I mean, I can smash, and I've done it in my lifetime, like an entire pizza by myself. It's not a question if I could or couldn't. Like even though I'm full, like I can still keep eating. And then within 20 minutes after I'm on the couch, I'm like, oh, I feel so disgusting. Oh God, I feel like crap. But if I'm eating steak, ground beef, I get even if I like try to if I had made more food than I actually need and I try to eat it, like you were saying, I'm like, I don't want it anymore. I'm okay. And there's something to that versus, the standard American diet, highly processed foods. They're so easy to take down and there's no nutrients in there or very little.
It infuriates me. Truly, it does. Food companies are very smart. That they intentionally make these foods hyper palatable, which initial thoughts, well, it's not a bad thing. Live a little bit. Well, when you have a family sized bag of chips and you can eat it, you can feel yourself stuffed, but your brain's saying, hey, keep eating because it's searching for nutrients. You end up with countries that are massively obese and have all these very severe health issues. And I resonate with what you said. I was the person that could eat an entire large pepperoni with jalapenos Domino's pizza on top of 2 pints of ice cream. And if I was feeling really, really saucy, some breadsticks with some cheesy marinara sauce. And I would eat that in a sitting, feeling like trash halfway through, but continuing to eat anyways, because it was just cocaine to the mouth. It tastes phenomenal. It really does taste good. Um, so those that can't control their eating patterns, I don't blame them at all. That they live in a world, a lot of people, not everybody, but depending on the part of the world that you're in, you live in a world that, hey, you are designed to get addicted to foods. It's going against you. There is a proven ratio of salts, fats, and sweets that make foods hyper palatable. And you compare that with no nutrients, good luck. Of course you're obese. Why wouldn't you be?
They're not making any money off of the healthy, that's for sure.
No,
I think I think I just saw the stat. I feel like it could be higher, but 60% of Americans are type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. And I feel like it should be maybe a little bit higher than that.
which is mind boggling. Look at pictures from 30 years ago, 50 years ago. It was so rare to see fat people. I saw this post the other day of, carnivals that go around, not carnival, not carnivore, carnivals that go around. And one of the acts was the world's fattest man. He looks like a pretty normal dude in today's society.
Wow.
Yeah. I, I don't know how true this is, but I saw, I think it was by 2030, maybe it was 2035 or something. It will be more rare to have a six pack than to be a millionaire.
Oh, geez.
That's nuts. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but we're certainly on that trajectory.
Yeah. Vinny Tortorich, who did the Fat Documentary 2. I have had him on, and he mentioned the same thing almost. He goes, look at Woodstock, go pick up pictures from the old Woodstock, and then go get pictures from Coachella and look at them. And he's like, those people at Woodstock, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're having sex, whatever. They all look thin. You go to Coachella doing the same shit, but they all look overweight. And he's like, what's changed?
Yeah,
What has changed? And yeah, that's just it's crazy. I mean, and you said it yourself. I mean, we are set up from kids age to just be addicted to food.
yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, 100%. And then going into like while we're on the topic of food and like desserts and things like that, um, your relationship with food, right? Has it changed since you started? And then have you kind of gone off the rails at all while on the carnivore diet?
Great question. My relationship with food is the best it's ever been. I have never done a diet where I ate freely of shoot, I'm trying to lose weight and I have the luxury to be full. It's a pretty liberating thing. Most people they can eat as much as they want in the carnivore diet, and if they're overweight, they'll lose weight just because it's so filling and satiating. Uh, Walking, past a crumble cookie or walking past a birthday cake, or for me, it was ice cream and cookies, and not having this ridiculous urge and desire of I need that, or after dinner, I am so freaking full, but I've got room for dessert. What? I can't tell you how many times I've said that. Oh, there's always room for dessert. It's really not supposed to be that way. And so my relationship with food, hands down, best it's ever been. I would even say that as an all or nothing guy, it just tends to be who I am in all things of life. I'm usually either on it or I am way off it. I would say I've got more grace for others too. And so just, developing that healthy relationship with food, not just for myself, but just as a perspective for others of coming to empathy and just understanding that, hey, it makes sense why, shoot, my office this morning, they were serving up ice cream. And I saw people with massive bowls. And the last time I was fit, doing a whole foods diet, 40% carbs, 40% protein, 20% fat, would have been very stuck up to that. This time I'm like, no, I get it. I completely understand it. And so it's kind of softened my heart too, of being that all or nothing person. I'm on it right now. I'm not looking down at others, and that's a good place to be.
There is a dogma across the board of, Instagram, whatever. So all social media, you're gonna get, vegan, carnivore. You got to do the line diet. You can only do plant based, and there's nothing in between. And you're right. There's we this diet, I think it's a proper human diet. However, I think it's not for everybody. I think to have somebody that has never not had vegetables because that's been instilled to them since they're knee high to the ground, it's really tough for them to not get behind not having vegetables. My mom, I mean, I got her doing more carnivore-esque. She's doing more of like you know, animal based, I would say, but she has vegetables. I don't think she can not have a small side salad, but
Yeah,
that's way, way better than fried food, right? So there is that grace that we got to give, and also ourselves too. Like I'm 95% carnivore, I would say, like 95. Sometime the other like 2 weeks ago, I just wanted some blueberries. I don't know why. I just wanted
blasphemy.
blueberries.
Yeah,
What's up? Blasphemy.
blasphemy. Yeah,
Get this guy, get him, take away his carnivore card. Uh, and I just wanted blueberries. And when I did a lot of training, like Ironman training, marathon training, and I was predominantly carnivore, every once in a while I would have some yogurt and blueberries. Nothing crazy, but if you tell that to certain people, they'll be like, "Ah, oh, this guy, he's not a carnivore." But I feel that you got to give, like you said, give yourself a little bit of grace, a little bit of leeway. And if you do have something, especially on this diet, because I've done all the diets, I've done vegan, I've done keto, especially on this diet. I feel that I can, if I do have something like a cookie or whatever, I'm gonna feel like shit the next day, but I don't feel like bad about it. I don't get down. Whereas if I was on this meal plan, like you were saying, I have this many macros, whatever, and if I went over it, I'd be like, shit, I,
Mhm.
I might as well just cheat the rest of the week. Like I ruined it, like just
Yeah,
one day. Um, but
you're
you're,
spot on.
yeah,
I I'm a big believer that I don't think everybody needs to be carnivore. I do think 99.99% of people that did it would feel the best they've ever felt in their life. Coming from somebody who was once fit before, doing it the right way. And sure, I felt great in comparison to being obese, but comparing that to now, I didn't feel half as good. But if folks just tried it, again, I don't think everybody needs to be, but if they tried it, what would happen is they would get bored and then they would slowly add foods back in and they would figure out, hey, I can do a small side salad and I still feel great. Or no, shoot, that brings back my joint pain. Or I can include fruit and I still feel great. Or I felt better. Or I felt the same. And they would just do that trial and error and pinpoint exactly, hey, here are the foods that I can eat and still thrive. And honestly, that's my hope. I don't, I couldn't give a rip if the world was 5% or 90% carnivore. I don't care. Do not care. Do what you want to do. But I think people would be surprised at how good they would feel.
I mean, we hear the stories all the time. You're a prime example. I mean, what other diets are giving people this food freedom on top of mental clarity, on top of, you lost, so you said 90, you're up to 90 pounds now?
90 pounds. Most of it was first 2.5 months.
I mean, that's insane. Like
Yeah.
that, and we are in a position right now that most people are starting to veer to like, oh, I could take a shot. I could take some Ozempic or Uwe or whatever the other one's called. I forget, and do that and lose weight versus just changing what you're putting in your mouth and maybe exercising a little bit. It's just so crazy to me that we're going to the extremes now when it could be just very basic.
Oh, it's so simple. Oh, it, yeah. I thought of a story. I'm sure we'll get to it later. But
We could you pop it in now. We're just talking shop.
even just talking with, health professionals or, people that are qualified. I wouldn't say I'm one of those people. I have zero credentials to talk about this. I have my testimony and I have the countless other testimonies folks have shared with me. There is zero, zero degree that I hold, And so talking with health professionals, I was talking to these two nurses and we were talking about Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and just talking through diet and all that stuff. And I told them that, yeah, I'm a big believer that diet, a lot of the diseases that we face today could be solved or people wouldn't at least reach that point if it weren't for certain diets. Well, those have zero impact. Diet doesn't impact those things. I said, what? I said, yeah, it's strictly genetics. They go, I'm not saying I disagree that genetics play a role, but you genuinely believe that diet doesn't play a role whatsoever? Well, it doesn't. Well, hold on. Has it increased, decreased, or always been the same? Well, it's definitely increased in recent years. And you don't think that? What do you think caused that? Well, just environment and stuff. And you don't think food's a part of that or a massive part of that? No. These are people with the backing to talk about stuff like this, and it just blows my mind. It really does.
I was just on a podcast the other day and we were literally talking about this of like if you were to timeline all the diseases, it just so happens when we like industrialize our food that you just see all of these diseases swing up, the big low fat craze, the Kellogg's diet, whatever, all this crazy stupid stuff, and it swings up Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes. The people used to have to fly from all over the world to go and study somebody that had type 2 diabetes. Like people don't, are we forgetting this? Like that was an anomaly. You're like, how the hell? is that possible? Right. And type
Coincidence.
1, yeah, type 1 was a childhood disease before we figured out how to manufacture insulin. So, like, those kids would die because they just couldn't produce insulin. That was its own thing. Genetic, I get behind that. But type 2 diabetes, we have 60% pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetes in America. That's it's just not a coincidence, and that's not genetic. That's self-inflicted.
Mhm. Fires
Crazy.
me up.
Let's get me fired up here. Uh, so now let's go into less serious topics here. Advice for people for getting onto carnivore. And I get the question a lot, so I'm gonna put it on to you. Jesus, that's got to be expensive. How the hell do you shop?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a valid question. You see people like Sean Baker or shoot, even myself, and they're eating a bunch of steaks, like some really good looking steaks. You're thinking, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? That's my entire budget in one day. That can be the carnivore diet if you want to. It's like buying a car, right? If you want to buy a Bugatti and that fits your budget and you like Bugattis, I would say go buy the Bugatti. If that doesn't fit your budget, don't buy a freaking Bugatti. You don't need to. I, for the majority of my carnivore experience, my staples, and even still, it's ground beef, eggs, bacon, butter, and salt, and that's really it. I I would even say the first 2.5 months, probably a good 75% of my meals, eggs and bacon. And I lost 65 pounds in the first 2.5 months, and I felt phenomenal. And those are, pretty, apart from the eggs, bacon. A lot of people would agree that, hey, of all the meats you can eat, it's probably not at the top for quality. And so, and I wasn't even intentional with finding good quality bacon. I was buying whatever Costco had on sale that week. And so you would be surprised if you intentionally shop. I bet you whatever somebody's grocery bill looks like currently on their current diet, if they did carnivore and were cost conscious, they would save money. It can be expensive if you want it to be. Do you need to buy, grass fed and finished, pasture raised, cream of the crop? That if you want to, sure. If that fits your budget, I would say there's a lot of studies that, hey, you'll get more nutrients from that. I can say somebody doing very low quality meats and doing very high quality meats physically didn't feel any difference. So if you
My
want it to be
my
expensive, make it, but it doesn't have to be.
my two spots, Aldi and Costco.
You know,
They're, and people are like, oh, like, yeah. I love when people get in the comments like, well, I don't think Aldi has the best meat. And I just literally reply back, like, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. And I just leave it right there. And
sure.
it's I would say I've saved money. I'm 4 years into carnivore. Again, 95% carnivore. I do allow if I want berries, I'm gonna have berries. If it's I want to have a little thing here or there, I allow that. But most part, it's ground beef, it's steaks from Aldi, ground beef, eggs, butter, bacon. And I'm in where are you out of actually?
I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, so like it's a little bit actually nicer all year round there. I'm out of Chicago,
Okay.
so the winters suck. Like
Yeah.
I literally do not. I hate. I know that I've seen you do it too. Where you put the steak in a cast iron, and it smokes up the house or whatever.
Yeah.
And I hate doing it in my apartment.
Yep.
So I literally never do cast iron unless it's like on the grill outside on the side burner. But literally all winter, I will have ground beef and eggs, and that's all I would eat. And then now it's summer, and I can go on my rooftop and just grill. And I think I've had steaks every day. They're from Aldi, they're a little bit pricier, but I did not spend anything all winter, and winters are pretty long in Chicago. So when I'm able to have steaks, I'm able to have steaks. But to your point, like and I've had grass fed, I've had, Costco regular conventional meat, and I don't feel a difference. And it doesn't have to be like grass fed, buying right from the butcher. Great. But that is a big budget item if you're going to do that.
Oh, it's a game changer. Yeah, and shoot, the fattier the better, and that works out in our favor in carnivore. Tends to be, hey, the fattier, you know, ground beef that you find tends to be cheaper, which is so funny. You get like the 97.3 ground beef and it's just marked up. And I'm like, wow, it's missing half the gold.
Yeah, so I kind of go back and forth. I go because now I feel like it depends because there's a lot of people. I'm in the camp right now where I think if you're starting on carnivore, you're gonna find some weight loss for
Mm-hmm.
sure, but I think a lot of the times people will plateau and
Mm-hmm.
you gotta mess with some of the things. So I found that because I was doing 80/20, I was having the fatty ribeyes. So, but I've noticed I like slowly my activity level didn't really change, but then I kind of realized that I was slowly starting to gain a pound here, a pound there. And you can talk to Ken Berry, you can talk to like Anthony Chafee, whatever. You're going to hear them say, like, oh, you can eat as much as you want. For me, that didn't really work out. So I've actually gone up in the protein and lowered the fat a little bit. And not by much, just getting the 97 instead of the 80 or 85/15. That manages my weight better than upping too much fat. And it's just like that's me personally. But some people could just take in a ton of fat and they either continuously lose weight or they maintain the entire time.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think that actually anybody that does carnivore for a long enough period of time, I think most would fall in that category. And those that you find with really impressive physiques, so not just hey, I lost 20 pounds, that's great. If that's what you had to lose, and that's you're good with where you're at, that's great. But those that are wow, that guy's jacked, that girl's really fit, it tends to be higher protein.
Oh, yeah. You have now a carnivore community that you're doing. Can you talk to a little bit about, and I think it's on carnivoreray.com. Am I getting that right?
Yep. Yeah. So the reason I started it is really it's what it is. It's a community. I think carnivore is the simplest diet somebody could follow because again, while a very few percentage of people starting out would need to track, most are going to fall in that category where they can just eat meat, eggs, seafood, butter, tallow, and ghee, and season with salt, and they're going to have some pretty incredible results. And then you do it for any extended period of time, and you just kind of self-regulate, figure out what works for you. It's so simple. It is truly one of the simplest diets somebody can follow. And so trying to spell it out as simple as possible on social media, I would even still have more questions. It's like, okay, these are questions that if somebody really wanted to know, they could go on Reddit and find an answer. I'm sure Wikipedia would be a reliable source, and I think Wikipedia is stupid. It's just so daunting to people. People look at a task and they go, I could never do that. And so the value that I see in what it is, a community, is just like-minded individuals, folks that are trying to do this, or maybe have done it in the past and haven't stuck to it. I've got a lot of videos that answer a lot of questions in depth, but it's all information that I post regularly. That if somebody really wanted to, if they just scrolled through all my videos, they would have a really good understanding of how to do this and how to do it successfully. But they either don't want to put in the time or the work or whatever. Or again, it's just daunting. I could tell you 1+1 = 2, but until you write it out and come to that conclusion by yourself, it's just, does it really equal 2? And so, yeah, it's something I'm pretty adamant about telling folks, hey, you don't need this. Nobody needs this. But if you need like-minded individuals, people to hold you accountable, do a 1 hour Zoom call with me twice a week as a group, then maybe this would be beneficial for you. But it's not necessary.
I find that group Zoom calls are way better than individual for the fact that somebody that really wants to ask a question may not, but somebody else in there will ask it and they'll get their answer. And plus, there's always like the side chat that goes on of like different things. And it, like you said, like-minded people who want to pursue this, but having community, I don't care what you could be vegan, you could be in a gym, you could be carnivore, but having a community of people, like that is such a huge thing. And people don't give enough credit to just having people to fall back on or lean on when you need advice is huge. And I think that's amazing that you're doing the calls and asking or like answering people's questions and giving information. Like you said, you do a great, I love your Instagram. You do a great job of just all different things, cooking, your journey, like different, like how to shop, I think that's, you're answering a lot of the questions, but also giving your time to open up for group discussion, which is awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's very fulfilling. I did a trial run with a handful of people just to, one, see if they found value in it, but two, see if I found value in it. I'm very intentional with time. Don't waste my time. I won't waste your time. I think it's a very valuable thing. And seeing people with just lifelong issues, Crohn's disease, or just jacked up hormone cycles, women not having a cycle at a very young at 25 is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking teens or something, but just things that shouldn't be happening, and seeing these issues resolved like that, it's very fulfilling. Like, it fills your cup. It sometimes pisses me off at my day job of, gosh, I've got a pretty fulfilling job. It's not half as fulfilling as this. And so it's very cool. It's very cool to walk with people through their day-to-day lives and see them on their highs and on their lows, and seeing other people encourage them. But you hit it right on the head. Community is everything. And I would say that's not just diet or physique or health. I believe you could live in a freaking hut. And if you have good community, you can thrive. And on the flip side, you could live in, one of Trump's multi-million-dollar mansions in Manhattan and be alone and be horrible, horrible. And so community is everything.
Absolutely. And before we get off air here, we got to find out where is this catchphrase coming from? Where did this all come about?
That's a good question. So for the longest time, I didn't know. Maybe a few weeks ago, a month ago, I got tagged in a video, and I think I pinpointed where I picked this up from, because I've said this forever. I don't give a rip. I'm not against cussing. I have a mouth of a sailor. I'm just very intentional about cursing around women and children, and a lot of areas that I'm at, there's women and children, and so I don't give a rip. It's just a way to get the point across without being overly offensive to folks around you. And so I get tagged in this video, and it's Steve Irwin, crocodile hunter, and he's talking about how I want to save the planet and make everything environmentally friendly and all this stuff. And he goes, I don't give a rip what it takes. And that has to be where it came from, because I don't have, mom, dad didn't say it growing up. It's just, I've always said it. And I can't think of anything earlier than that in my childhood that I would have picked it up from. I'm giving credit to Steve Irwin. Yeah.
Man, Steve Irwin. Yeah, I like popped on your Instagram page, and like just the undertitles, I don't give a rip. And you got the merch. You gotta show off the merch too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't give a rip t-shirts.
Don't give a rip. It's just a good way to get the point across. We don't always have to be overly offensive in life, but we can talk and get the message across.
Amen. Now, are there any projects that you got coming up, or just gonna stay with this 30-day challenge?
Gosh, great question. I didn't do Carnivore to talk about it, and I didn't even post about it to talk about it. I posted a video August 31st, so a month into my carnivore journey, saying, hey, I know this sounds nuts, but I've been doing this crazy thing. These have been my results, and kind of just blew up on TikTok. And so just from there, kept answering questions. And then, February of this year, kind of just dawned on me, why am I not, sharing this on Instagram? And so started doing that as well. While some would say, he's a social media influencer, I don't feel that way at all. Because again, I truly don't know what I'm doing. And so my goal is really just to keep doing what I'm doing. If a social media platform grows, cool, I guess. Mentally, you do have to bring yourself back down to earth. I will say that it does inflate your head. But me talking about carnivore isn't to grow a page. It's because I get thousands of DMs of saying, "Hey, I saw you a month ago, and I've been doing it for a couple weeks now." And whether it's men or women, hey, this has changed my marriage, or I have more energy, or when I come home from work, I actually want to spend time with my kids, or hey, I have IBS, and this has helped it drastically, and that's incredible. You got that because I posted some video of me munching on steak. I think I would be doing the world a disservice to stop talking about it.
Yeah. I just had a conversation the other day too about somebody that's just starting their podcast, and they were asking me like, oh, I mean, not that like I'm in your camp. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just putting out information. I'm talking to people who I want to talk about, who I want to interview. And you and you've had this, and a lot of people are going to get this too if they start doing stuff on social media, fitness, health, whatever. You just get like this one random DM that says something of the lines like, "Hey, I caught your video and I tried carnivore, I tried a primal diet, or I'm working out more and I feel tremendous." It's like you did all this work and it's just this one person, and that will light you up and just make you want to continue to do this, because it literally just takes one DM from somebody and you're just like, oh, I'm all gassed up, and you just want to
Yeah,
keep doing content. So I love your page again. It's awesome. I think people should definitely check it out at Carnivore Ray underscore
underscore.
underscore. Damn that regular Carnivore
I
Ray.
know.
But Ray, thank you so much for taking the time to come out and share your story. And a lot of my listeners are definitely in your camp as well of, you know, trying and looking for diets that are going to work for them. And it seems like you've kind of found this fit that's working for you, and you just have like a really great message. So I appreciate the time.
Tony, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. Thanks to everybody listening to another episode of the Primal Foundations podcast.